rabbit hole. Now I was thinking, right? This is the other part of that futuristic kind of thing that I see playing out for the future. These are some notes that I forgot to add on. Actually, it just wasn't time yet because I had to lay the foundation for the vampirism and the different layers of light code frequency that are being siphoned. You know, they're being extracted from different dimensions of being. Good day, beloved. So the light code frequency that's being usurped and extracted from different levels of being, whether it was ancient civilization and spiritual intellectual property, and the separation of the difference between spiritual sciences and spirituality and sciences, and then the psychology even, and looking at the id and stuff, and then looking at how the unconscious mind is played in the marketing and all that kind of stuff. So what I'm saying is that we're in a time of change, and that's been foreseen way before we woke up and started investigating stuff. There was a roadmap laid out where people were following the astrological energies and stuff and preparing hundreds of years before we woke up, while they were exploiting us, right? While we were sleeping. So right now, we are hearing about the new technology. Everything is being set up. You know, on one hand, it's just the power of the energies. On one hand, how we hear about how food is destroying, can be destructive. We have a market for organic foods and stuff, and labeling and things like that. Okay, we started seeing how that was dysfunctional, and started looking at the words natural and stuff like that, and labeling, and how they started to exploit that. You know, real versus organic, and how those words could be exploited. And it's not any different than anything else that is being exploited due to our lack of being able to understand it, or being locked into one-dimensional thinking. Okay, so now we're into this new market for health, and in that we see how frequency and vibration is very influential in us. We see now the marketing, and we see they lay stuff out hundreds of years in front. They lay stuff out years ahead. And a lot of us don't see it coming because they be playing chess and they be playing the art of war. And we're just trying to survive in and out of the beat, you know what I'm saying, and all that jazz. So, you see all that copyright stuff? You have to be around and look at a time when you could dance and tape a party and upload it. At a time when technology was blue screens and zeros and ones, DOS, and putting in those different cartridges and stuff, the CDs and things like that, putting in the ROMs, CD-ROMs and things like that into the computer, to where it is now, evolution, right? And so, just like with the food and the labeling and all that stuff and the marketing, where we're hearing about doctors and how we didn't know about frequencies and stuff, and how all that is coming to light. There's a market for that also emerging. And in that, knowing how precious intellectual property is, right? See how the music thing is going. Somebody's beats, somebody's lyrics, being able to use those in the background, or dance and have somebody's music accredited to put you in that spirit, in that mood, to tape you and your loved one dancing, or just you dancing, like being able to use someone else's work to make a point for an educational reference, for a scholarly reference, fair use kind of thing with the copyright, to where that's really getting tightened up on. And you see, it's kind of ridiculous. You see the new technology coming in. They're aware of dance and movement and sound and frequency is what I'm saying. And there's more of a crackdown on people who want to utilize that outside of the community they want to police with it. And they want to control with that knowledge. So you start to see people pop up and you see it segmented again. So that's what our future looks like as far as health coming up. And you see the spiritual institutions failing. And you see churches, new types of churches like the Church of Beyonce being built. And you look at the ophthalmology and the resonant frequency of that. And then you add it to seeing how music is being controlled. And you know what music does. We're coming into the knowledge of what music does and cracking down on that moralistic. There's different markets popping up and people coveting and already, you see what's going on with YouTube and stuff, already taking advantage of our foresight. Lack of foresight, actually. Or stuff, I'm saying, not able to see the forest through the trees kind of thing. And so where the churches are lacking in their credibility, and we see that frequency and vibration is credible, okay? If you know what I mean, if it's all about frequency and vibration, and I can put you, look at the Nazi paperclip kind of stuff. If I put you in an environment that's messed up, you're going to start to feel it after a while, because it's a resonant frequency. It's a corresponding frequency. If we're holding in information and we start to resonate our environment, right, because we're mostly water, if frequencies can affect us to heal us, then they certainly can affect us to hurt us. So we're aware of how environment affects us. So using that in the opposite direction to heal, there's the market there for that. And so that's where the churches, you see them now with all the sound and the stomping of the feet and the spirit and all that kind of stuff. Excuse me, I got interrupted. That usually happens. Look how the spiritual technology is going to come into play in the future as far as healing and stuff like that is concerned. And that's why I believe that this is being set up. Like, I can see a big difference now between being able to upload things that you enjoy and just share them versus being and exploiting the fact, like, that terrorist law where you can exploit that and just like be messing with anybody and use that as a backdoor to take people's private property, like the algorithms in your mail and stuff like that. By coincidence, in the same way. It's like a backdoor, taking advantage of us not being able to see a vulnerability that we have for not knowing something. Let me see. So that was so that was one thing. And how, look at the whole thing in church, how, the minister and the choir, and the Holy Spirit and all that comes into the room, and how people are looking for the removal, of things that are ailing them and bothering them, and how you can move actually in a mutually beneficial way or a counterproductive way, utilize this new way of looking at frequency, vibration, and spirituality and healing in the same way that the other markets were segmented when it comes to spiritual sciences and stuff, when it comes to psychology um, and consciousness, root consciousness, and thought being light code frequency, and light code frequency being intellectual property when it breaks down into from the jed, from the womb space, into the womb space that we live in, from the womb space of your mother, into the womb space that we live in, which is your community, which mothers you and parents you, and to the trust issues that we transpire onto our community, right? The parental authority that we give our parents, we're taught to give to community, to society, that authority. And we look forward to being those people who could possibly grow up to uphold that kind of credibility and light. And then we look around and see how things have changed. And it's very interesting to see how fast, how swift things can change and just be overlooked and just become a part of the regular, the norm, the stuff that is just taken, for granted. That's just what we do. Don't question it. If you upload something online and it's music from somebody else, then you can put this music is not, you can put all types of things on it and that they'll leave you alone. Meanwhile, you see other people that are uploading things with music on it and they're not bothering them. Why are they bothering you? Is there something that you're doing that's a little different? Being discouraging over something like dancing, but yet you're seeing all kinds of decrepit things, other images, so that is definitely being worked. There's an article on my page talking about how the CIA knows about group thought and, hypnotizing and all these things that I've been talking about, they have been doing deliberately for quite a long time. It's not a conspiracy. It's only it's our responsibility to start to look at these things so that we can heal ourselves, for lack of a better word, to heal, so we can make ourselves better. I definitely wanted to talk about that, about the church and the frequency and the music and stuff being set up and how I think that's corresponding to, why they're cracking down on so many people playing music right now and using it, utilizing it for, raising the frequency. Like I see a lot of DJs and stuff playing music to cheer people up because, we all have a ministry. We all have something that we enjoy doing. And now that's sharing, how is that affecting the market? Like certain things that I was thinking about just don't make sense. Now I was looking at copyright infringement and stuff like that, and it really doesn't matter what you put there. And you're supposed to be able to share and utilize other people's intellectual property, just like scholarly credibility as well as artistic stuff. And that's why people do plays and they do, they do movies and you put in other people's music and you pay for it. So even when you pay for the music, they went from messing with me when I posted dancing and stuff. For instance, as an example, sometimes there will be a section there where I could say I purchased the music. So it's not copyright infringement, it's fair use. I purchased it and I'm sharing it with my audience for, whether it was, I'm just sharing it. Other times it would be worldwide bans on pieces of music. And other times it would give me the opportunity to put in, to challenge it. where I could contest it, and then there were times where it would come back and that music company or whatever, or that person would say, yes, you have the right to use the music. And even when they said that I had the right to, Facebook would not let the music go on the video, wouldn't let the video go. It was still muted out. And then times when they just muted my video out, even though it was listed as copyright free, that I could use it. Other times that the same piece, I even tried it, like that same piece of music, it's like the Nazi paperclip thing where you don't know what to do. You're darned if you do or don't. They're always there's no right way of doing it. And it's just you there psychologically dealing with it, because nobody else is looking at all your posts you're putting there in regards to copyright infringement and trying to share a piece of music with you dancing. Or a piece of music with you DJing, doing your ministry that you have, where you want to share, change the frequency and vibration. Now we do realize that that does have an impact, obviously, or you wouldn't be doing it in churches and you wouldn't be setting up opportunities to do that some of us can see coming. You know? So that was that part of the music. You know, and the intellectual property is a light code frequency. Dance. How dance is very important when it comes to healing and moving the body. And perception, in the same way that our spiritual sciences were segmented, where we get sciences and we get spirituality, and we get boxed in, right? Dance, the same thing is going on with dance and movement, and how movement can heal, and how when you layer up light code frequencies, you get more illumination, you get a brighter light, you get a deeper understanding, you get a larger penetration, you know what I'm saying, a bigger tool to have access to what it is that you want. So it's also the collaboration of ideas, and to be able to have a roundabout, a better overall perspective of things. It is the perspective that allows us to heal ourselves. The difference between a person that knows they can heal themselves with imagining a Pac-Man eating up all the disease within their body, and seeing is believing, as in knowing. It all starts with a thought. The difference between reading something and then trying it out and seeing that it works. Or the difference between seeing something in your mind like Nikola Tesla and putting it together and then just keep manifesting it until it works. Because you know, you're in a knowing space where nobody taught it to you, where you have to believe it. But it came to you and you know it. And so you just have to perceive it like manifested. So there's different aspects and layers to this, and definitely perception is imperative when it comes to healing and movement. So all that will be taught, you know what I'm saying, to us, repackaged and taught in a different way. Like twerking. And what we see happening to some of the, like rap, you know, like hip hop, how it gets exploited and it gets the healing frequency of it, the therapeutic value, yes, the therapeutic value of it gets destroyed. Good day, beloved. I'm talking about our intellectual property and spiritual healing, spiritual sciences, being a part of the light code frequency that we overlook, that it all starts with a thought, and how those thoughts are internalized by us. And it's how we move it, how we move the thought. How we move the thought within our communities is like those bricks. Those bricks that can be blocks. Those bricks that can be blocks or locks, right? So what's our hustle in regards to the light code frequency? How are we internalizing the things that we learn? And what do we foresee happening in the future when it comes to us? There's also something else that's really important. Things that are being exploited, it was outside of this was just a note on what I was talking about earlier. Or since I'm here, looking at the youth and looking at how things are being usurped and exploited and segmented. So now we got these quantum D-wave mechanics computers and stuff, right? So we have these waves, these radio waves and stuff out here, and we're using the telephones and stuff, and we're not even aware of how these things are affecting us. And we have our children and the elderly to think about. We really need to value ourselves much more than we are. That's part of the lack of value in ourselves, where we don't even care. So I've been watching children in Africa come up with gadgets that bring forth free energy. They come with all kinds of technology, taking stuff out the garbage and using old wires and freaking tires and all kinds of stuff that people can manifest and do in the greatest of impoverished circumstances, but it's only in their mind. In our mind, we're looking at it that way because we're looking at their physical thing. But what they had in their mind that they manifested and brought forth were gadgets for things like free energy, and amazing ways to clean things and cook things and help the people in their environment because they're desperate. And when you don't have all this extra stuff distracting you, and when you're not desensitized and you're still empathetic toward the people around you and you want to help them and you love them, I would suppose it's much easier to come up with things like that. So it got me thinking about our situation and the way that we're not valuing us, and we're looking at our circumstances, how by looking at our circumstances differently can be helpful to our youth. Like, for instance, we are in a spiritual war, and how so many of us jump right in front of the programming division for the wrong program. How we should be learning how to clean our water, how to make filtering systems so we can have clean water. Always, not just when it happens, but right now. Instead of buying all that water and stuff from the store, what about people who can't afford all that? And what about assuring that it's safe instead of crying about how we can't trust them with our water? What about water within our own communities where we know that it's clean and that it's safe? Who knows how to do that? Who's been studying that? We got a package store and a church on almost every corner. Why not start implementing for at least every 10 blocks? Somebody knows how to have clean water, like the bootlegger. Somebody knows about roots and herbs and how to heal the body. Generalized stuff. How to clear up a cold and be able to grab hold of the things that will keep the cold out of your chest. How to fight back the Morgellons. How to do the research that's not being done for us. For instance, when the Black Panther Party studied sickle cell, because the children and stuff were dying from it, and that wasn't being done because that wasn't someone else's concern. there was no way for them to capitalize on that. Healing and being holistic, being helpful, being therapeutic was not on the agenda. A matter of fact, letting it be, just like the syphilis experiment, was more along the line. So, in valuing ourselves, taking the time to question authority, then perhaps, I'm not co-signing somebody to rip a hole in my behind, and exploit me, and they can't say that I asked for it and I had it coming. So teaching our children, making a space for us to learn that on our own, for us to come up with our own things on our own to fight back the quantum, the waves and stuff, things like orgone, and there's panels and stuff that we could be manufacturing, making for ourselves, to try out ourselves, on ourselves, to make things better. Safeguarding ourselves, finally learning how to love ourselves, and maybe getting a little closer as communities, So just like those African children, even in their hardship, going to school, traveling through in some of these third world countries, where they have more morality than us, who's supposed to be, a civilized country, wanting to have sex with animals and children, and throw people away and exploit people, and, doing all kinds of weird stuff, wanting people to worship us and honor us as symbols of morality, while in the dark, laughing at how ignorant they are to trust us, because we're doing all kinds of degenerate, low stuff, and then we have stocks and bonds to profit off of their demise, because we want to program people to self-destruct. You know what I'm saying? So we can take responsibility for ourselves, and just like, this little housewife learned all this stuff by herself because I chose to. Instead of watch As the World Turns and Murray and, excuse me, World Star. And I'm not saying that there's, anything wrong with that. I like a good movie or a laugh. I watch some of that stuff. I tune in, find out what frequency and vibration people are on, what's funny. Hey. But I don't stay there. And it was just my journey to be able to find some alternative stuff. So, just like those African children found out answers for free energy, just like I healed my body when I had, with the dancing, with the therapeutic dance that I do, my Qigong, the ancestors started giving me information, and I started to look stuff up. And so I learned gradually how to implement the light code frequency that I receive on different stuff. And one is healing. One is tornado fields. And like I was saying before, imagining, the difference between imagining yourself that's a part, being able to perceive and conceptualize in your mind that it can be done. And it all starts with the thought as the first place that it all starts. And so if we believe in ourselves and we value ourselves more, then we will have our children coming home from school and start setting up buildings for them to be able to, to learn this stuff. And they can go and scout out the materials by any means necessary to put together whatever gadgets and stuff that they come up with and try out to be able to safeguard your homes and houses and communities against the bombardment of the radio frequency waves, the dirty water, the noise pollutants. There's a lot of things that can be done to combat what's going on, but it needs to be more commonplace. And we need to realize what's going on and where we are. Not everybody knows that we're in a spiritual war or cares, I hate to say it, but I wouldn't want them to be carnage. Sometimes you could tell somebody to get out the way, and if they don't move and there's a bomb falling, oh well, maybe you should just run and do what you got to do. So that being the part of accountability, that's what I'm doing. I'm just learning what I can and doing what I can right next to you as one of you. And that's what I was told, that actually there's a whole program of things that you can do like that. And that would be the market. Once you come up with something, you've invented it. That's a working item that you need right now in the new market and the way that things are for our communities in today's age. Not what's already there in the market, but what's needed in the market. That's outside of the market. And that's the intellectual property that they be trying to jump into. Yeah, and that's why I was thinking about the satellite brain reading technology. It's so dangerous because as straw men, when you look at how they've been exploiting you so far when it comes to the churches usurping the idea of spirituality and how things have been exploited and how through means of occult, dark magic, they've been hiding things from us and exploiting us, right? Even when it comes to utilizing the luge of sadness, right? And our confusion and using the technology and using us being ignorant, niggas in the dark, not knowing that we were nagas, a part of an ancient civilization that this civilization partly is built on top of. You know what I'm saying? So it's those things that are in the dark that once we learn them and we figure it out, we can do better for ourselves. We can look at ourselves better. We can love ourselves more. We can value ourselves more. We can value ourselves more. It is so cold out here. So that was a big giant piece of message that came out, over a week ago, and I had it in all these different parts and stuff. I think I'm pretty much got it out, how that's where the vampirism is coming from, all right? How you got to look at value first of all, right? And look at what is an idea. Well, where does it come from? And when you look at the different aspects of that, and look at the different civilizations that this one is built on top of, and you look at all this hollering and screaming about plagiarism. Oh, gosh, talk about hypocrisy. Stuff can get aggravating. But we do what we can. And so that's where I guess, I was just noticing my part comes in is just learning what I can and doing what I can and making myself useful. So this is Regina's Rabbit Hole. Much love to you and yours. I think that's all I wanted to say for now. Just make sure that there wasn't another note in there that I forgot. Yeah. All right, family. Hey, Reborn, Omar, Raymond, Muhammad, and D. Wood. Much love to you and yours again. I'm out. Thanks for watching.